Hello, my name is Tanya, and I'm the author of the book Losing Porsha, We Live Through Our Loss. On today's episode, I would like to talk about grief and loss. People deal with grief and loss very differently. And as you know, there is no right way and there's no wrong way in dealing with grief. I mean, it is what it is. As I think back on that time, I was 8 years old, when Portia passed. And I remember, like, when I initially got the news, I was shocked and just silenced by it, just totally unexpected. Didn't expect hearing that in a million years. And I was just shocked, shocked. And then there was like a moment where I kind of like broke down and cried. And I remember like my uncle, Yank, he was saying, Tanya, and he tried to comfort me the best way he could. He was like, don't cry, nothing you could say or do is going, is never going to bring her back. And as a young child, you hear that, but you don't really fully understand that. And then there was moments where I would get like quiet and I would like go inward and process and think. And so I would like have moments, during my grief. I will say this though, like during that period of time, I think with so much going on, apparently I must have just saved up my thoughts. And when I was in third grade at John Cotton Taylor Elementary School, I was talking my tail off. I mean, every time I looked around, my teacher was having me to write. I will not write. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class at least like 25 times. And I basically kept that chalkboard and that paper lit. And that was like the only period of time where I ever like got in trouble. But I think that was like my way of, I don't know, I guess I was just kind of saving up, and then just very talkative and expressive at school. So that was that. In regards to parents that grieve, I know like when I was talking to my mom, she was saying that during that time, she had like four other children like me, and then I have three other siblings. And I remember her saying that she could hardly wait till we go to school because then that way she had a house to cry, to cry and grieve and get it out all she wanted to, and that she had to, be strong, for the rest of the family. And then like with my father, I never remember seeing him grieving. But I will say this, Daddy talked about Portia a lot. He would always say, well, she, full born baby, she didn't, um, he would always like just say that at least our family would have one in the kingdom, because she didn't live and never sin. And he would always talk about the resurrection and all that kind of stuff. And as a young child, that stuff, the spiritual stuff kind of go over your head. But when you get older, you kind of, get to understand that, better. Um, and then I mentioned before, like one of my siblings, he kind of went inward and he was like really grieving, inside. And then him and my mom was riding in the car. A song came on, made him feel sad, and then he started talking. So we all deal with grief very differently. And I will say this, taking it away from the book, I'll mention like with my personal experience. I know like back in 2018 I lost my father, and I'm gonna tell you, I was devastated. I mean, I was hurt, I was angry, I was mad, I was confused. um and I got what my mother was saying. I know, like as he was transitioning, there was tears and stuff like that. And then with everything moving so fast, I felt like I had to be strong for my mother and helping her, to make the arrangements and everything. And then, people coming to the house, there was phone calls, people bringing food and stuff. And then, so I felt like literally I didn't have time to grieve. I mean, inside, grief is a tricky thing because I mean sometimes we have to be strong, and it was just so much going on at the time. And I remember, just being with my mom, taking care of everything. And then, the day of the funeral, being there for my mom, got through everything, pay caterers, et cetera, et cetera. And I know, like with me personally, it was like it was in my heart. I was sad, I was grieving, and I guess I just didn't have time or space to like let it out. And it's like when the dust settled and everything was said and done, that's when it hit me the most. And I remember grieving mostly. Most of my grieving was done at night too. I mean, like my son, my father, my son was very very close to my father as well, and yeah, but yeah, I did most of my grieving at night. Um, yeah, I don't want to say like next month would be like 7 years since that happened, and there was like other moments like I remember like when we was cleaning out his drawers and his closets and stuff like that. Some things we kept, as keepsakes and stuff, but a lot of things, went to like the Goodwill. Like, he wasn't coming back. We didn't need those things anymore. And but yeah, there were some things that that I kept. And I'll tell you another thing that really got me was like cleaning out his bathroom. He used to tickle me. He used to call his bathroom his library. I'm going to the library, y'all. I'm going to the library. So like cleaning that up and donating his things and throwing his things out. And I think that's what really, I don't know, that was just really bad for me. And another thing too, like during my grief process, I don't know what it was, but it's like I always, and another time when grief would hit me the most, it would be like on Sundays when we was getting ready for church. I don't know what it was, but like on Sundays as I was getting ready, I would be like bawling sometimes, and then sometimes we'd be like in the sanctuary, and I remember I would just be bawling. I'm like, I don't understand. It's like, why is it like on Sundays? And then something hit me because like growing up, we observed the Sabbath. Like from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. We were like Sabbath observers. And like I said, that happened for, I mean, like for a good little while. It's like on Sundays. I would just be so sad. I mean, I got all the rest of the week. And then it like really hit me like it would hit me like on Sundays. Long story short, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to observing the Sabbath. And I tell you what, I ain't had another, I didn't, that went away. It stopped. It stopped. And so I don't know whether God was speaking to me like, Tanya, you know what? Now, Saturday is the Sabbath. You know that. You know. You know. God rested on the Sabbath there. In the Bible, sunset is like the beginning of a day. And anyhow, I didn't mean to get into all that, but and so yeah, so now I just I rest and relax and attend services. I kind of fell off a little bit, but I need to get back to I got to get back to that, but all I'm gonna say is that I don't know. It's like I felt like God was talking to me. And so, yeah. Again, I don't know how I got on that, but like whenever I do these videos, it's free flowing. I don't write nothing out. I do kind of have some idea, what I'm going to talk about. But yeah. And so I just spend that time, praying and, reading. Sometimes I may watch like spiritual videos. I may listen to like music, but the main thing is just resting. And I'll say this, I will say this, as I think back on my life, I think that was kind of like preparing me, for what was coming ahead. Because like during that time also, Like I said, my father, he passed. And then it's like my marriage was falling apart. Turns out I didn't know that it was falling apart. It didn't come to attention to me until like 6 months after my father passed. Anyhow, that's a whole nother conversation. Um, I guess I say all that to say this. I think by resting my mind, turning my mind off, like just getting that mental rest, and kind of like, I think by taking that day off, like the fourth commandment, remember the fourth commandment, remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. Um, and so I just started like really resting and spending more time with God. And as I think back on it, that really prepared me for what was coming because, I think that's what helped me to get through, my marriage falling apart. It helped me to get through the pandemic. I ended up having I had to have like major surgery during that time. I was running a business. I just think that by resting my mind, resting my body, just kind of ceasing from work, spending more time with God, I think that has really been helpful in helping me to get through all these life changes that I've been going through. So, well, that's it for today. I hope I hadn't confused any of y'all. And I, in no way or fashion, trying to, I'm just telling y'all my story. If you have any questions, feel free to, send me a direct message. But I do think that, that helped me to deal with my grief. Also, I want to talk about loss because it kind of ties in all together. It could be the loss of as I was talking before, the loss of Porsha, my baby sister. And then, it could be like the loss of a loved one as I kind of share some of my personal experiences and losing my father. A loss for some people, it could be a loss of a job. And that was like another thing because as you can see, I don't know whether you can see my certificate. I'm going to turn the camera a little bit. My degrees and certificates that are on the wall, they mean absolutely nothing. Nothing. I mean, I'm having to, change careers. Life happens to all of us. And so that could be like that was like a loss as well because I was very passionate in what I was doing. And it's like, I don't want to do that no more. Doors won't open. The money's not what I want it to be. So I had to, give it up and, do something else. Loss can also be loss of friendships. I love people and I love talking to people. And in my mind, I had where I thought, well, okay, we're friends. We're going to be friends for life. Woo! Think again, people start showing their tails and showing their true colors. And you got to piece them out, they out of here. But like I said, in my mind, I had to let go, let people go. And so life is just full of losses and griefs and transitions. But I promise you, get connected to God. Get connected to the source. He'll help you. He'll see you through. And you will make it. Okay? So that's it for now. I hope y'all got something out of this. I know sometimes I can ramble a little bit. And I apologize for that. But I just wanted to, share my thoughts. All right. Until next time. Talk to you later. Bye.